Whoa, it's the illusion reporting from somewhere on spaceship Earth. It's 5 in the morning. I'm wide awake. I've been thinking about stuff all night long. I've been thinking a lot about consciousness and being awake, and about the other human beings that surround me that aren't awake, and what it must be like for them to not be awake. As a person who considers themselves 75% awake to the potential of being like 100% awake, and that 75% is of a 1%, so I guess I'm like not even 1/100th of a percent awake. I think that's pretty valid. There's so much information out there, and there's so much data to be collected, and that data has been so infiltrated and manipulated by people who have the master plan to perception, who are absolutely in control of the 3D landscape that I call the dream, the holographic experience. Some of you may call reality. I call it slavery. You know, people don't understand how absolutely manipulated everything around them is. It's really hard for me to even communicate with people anymore. And it's not out of a judgment that I don't want to communicate with them. It's that I can't communicate with them. I don't have the vocabulary anymore to communicate with people who are asleep. For me, when I talk to people, I'll ask them, what do you think about Buckminster Fuller? And they'll be like, who's Buckminster Fuller? And in my brain, I'm thinking about how Buckminster Fuller wrote the Operator's Manual to Spaceship Earth in the 60s. And it's like a 120-page book that lays it all out. That's why it's called the Operator's Manual to Spaceship Earth. It just lays it all out. And I consider myself to be a pretty fortunate person to have read that book. I don't know why everybody on the planet hasn't been required to read that book. But then again, I realize that most people don't want to read at all. That people are totally slaves to like television sets and aspartame and GMO and fluoride in the drinking water. And I begin to realize that my own spacesuit and the equipment in my spacesuit has been totally manipulated not to work properly. Like, it frustrates me. It frustrates me to no end to know that what's going on here can't link up as well as it should. That basically my mind is like a Tetris game where the pieces just don't stack properly, and eventually they just start coming down so quick that the game's over. And most people aren't even trying to fit the pieces in their brain. They've just like turned it off and are like zombies. And I'm like, and I want to be mad about it, but I can't be. I feel just pretty bummed out about it. These poor people just have no idea how their lives are just slipping away. And then I realize how much of my own life has slipped away trying to participate in this temporal thing called reality. You know, most people don't understand what these really are. For example, this is a birth certificate. This is my birth certificate. All that a birth certificate is a bill of lading. Basically, a birth certificate means that you're property to the corporation of the United States of America, that you are no different than a car, a couch, a television, a bushel of wheat. And most people don't understand that the system views us no different than that. And that's why we're bombarded with all this insane dumbing down information. I listen to a lot of lectures on the computer. I'll give you, if you go to Red Ice Radio, the rabbit hole just keeps going with thinkers, with people that are thinking about spirituality and the system and perception and ancient pyramids, and it just goes on and on. But you begin to realize that for every level of perception that you break through and you see the world in a bigger, wider understanding, that there's another layer of beings that have manipulated that layer of perception to fit you into another form of indentured servitude of perception. And that every time you climb through a layer of perception, that you have to climb through another layer of perception, because the system's fully aware of our potential as human beings, as beams of light, as conduits of source energy, that we're the most powerful entities in the universe. Like, I know that, but I also know that due to how my spacesuit has been rewired and misconfigured, that I can't ever reach my full potential as a human being. Sure, I've broken through on many levels, and I go for it on a certain aspect of going for it, but yet, as I explained, the tetris squares just stack too quick, and I can't break free of it, and it frustrates me to no end. And then I guess that's why I've been like sleeping a lot during the day and doing what I do at night, because I can't go out into public anymore, because I've realized that people can't even do the basic functions anymore, like maneuver through a supermarket. Like, I don't understand how people can't maneuver through a supermarket, how people can't operate an ATM, how people can't drive down the road and use the lines and the signs and the turn signals properly to operate smoothly. Life is very, very simple, and yet everybody, due to their lack of perception, has chose to be ignorant. I feel that I just feel bad for people, and I know that's a judgment. I can see how everybody's been forced into this crazy perceptional slavery, and they're afraid to wake up to their true potential, because the minute they woke up to their true potential, they would realize they wasted a huge chunk of their life being these slaves. Like, knowing that I wasted the time between 23 and 40 as a slave, trying to participate in the system, trying to be part of the system, trying to make myself fit in with the system. I was thinking about it tonight. What a waste of time and like physical form. Like, I wasted all those miles on my spacesuit playing their game, working for them, making money for their war machine. Give me a break. I'm so not down with what's going on. And yeah, if you don't know who Nikola Tesla is, I don't even really want to have a conversation with you. You don't know anything. And Nikolai Tesla's like a building block of knowledge. I don't know much. But compared to your average person out there, I'm like a rocket scientist. And what really fascinates me is how smart people really aren't that smart, that they have bought into the system, that they think they're smart because they know how to maneuver in the system, and they're just slaves. It trips me out. I feel so weighted by other people and my inability to help them. Like, it's kind of cool. We have this thing going on here on YouTube where, like, most of you are awake or trying to wake up and see that there's something else going on out there, and that's why we're communicating through this medium. But our average bear out there, I can't imagine it. I've always felt this way too. I feel like I'm an alien on this planet. Like, I've never really related to anyone. And no one's really filled me in on anything either. I've had to figure everything out for myself. Like, I've gotten some clues along the way. But generally speaking, if I hadn't made lefts when everybody else was going right, I would be over here with them, being slaves in the machine. And yeah, they appear to have convinced themselves that they're pretty stoked to know who won the basketball thing the other day, or last night, or whatever. Like, who cares? Who cares? Why we're still driving around in internal combustion engines, it's just like a non sequitur when I get out there in the day. I'm just like, this is stupid. When I see like power transmission lines, I feel like I'm in like the 1600s or something. It's so archaic and so backwards. And to have a conversation with people who don't understand energy and economics and realize that this is all a sham is really a hard thing to get around. It makes me isolate pretty heavily, because what am I going to communicate about? The stupid basketball game? Baseball? The weather? That's been fully manipulated? Oh, wow, I'm crazy. I'm a conspiracy guy. Wrong. I'm just someone who happens to read and look into stuff and listen to a lot of alternate points of view and compare them with other alternate points of view and be like, oh, there's a hole over here in the alternate point of view, and there's a hole over here, but wait, this one's got a good idea and that one's got a good idea. And if you begin to look around and take all the good pieces, you begin to fit it all together in this mosaic of manipulation and realize that everything that you're being told is a lie. Like, all day long, I feel like I'm in one of those movies where it's just lies. Everybody's lying about everything. And even when they think they're not lying, I know it's just because they're ignorant. They don't even know how clueless they are to the potential, their own potential. And yeah, I'm up at night trying to figure out how to break free of the Tetris machine that I can't fit the pieces together. Like, misfire, does not compute. But I think that if I do keep a positive mental attitude and look past the enslavement that the rest of the population's under, and I go for it myself, that I can carry people along in sort of a, what is it, slipstreaming, you know, when the bike rider rides and all the other people are following behind the lead bike, the same way the birds migrate. I just have to be the lead bird flapping its wings. Fortunately, I'm following some other pretty smart birds flapping their wings, so there's not as much like aerodynamic resistance on me as there are the birds way in the back of the flock. But man, there's some birds really far back in the flock that don't even have wings. They're dodos. They're gonna go extinct. I don't even know how else to explain it. Anyway, that's the illusion. 16 minutes at 5 in the morning.